Hello everyone, it's Steve with Aptera Owners Club. I thought I would do a brief update on Electromechanica Solo because they've had a couple of things in the news lately. Um, as you guys remember, Electromechanica Solo was this very quirky single-seater three-wheel vehicle. I actually had a chance to drive this thing. It was kind of fun actually. Not too bad of a vehicle, and I think if it was cheap enough and safe, um, might have gotten some traction, but they were like $18,000 and the build quality was honestly not great. And then they had this fatal flaw where it would suddenly lose power and it was not safe. And Electromechanica like recalled all for like 400 or 500 vehicles that they sold. They did deliver 400 to 500 vehicles, so in a way they were successful in that. But they recalled all their vehicles, and it was unclear what was going to happen with the vehicles. But now we know what's happening with the vehicles. What's also wild is that Electromechanica's website is still up, and if you look at it, you can like ask for test drives and reserve a vehicle, which is crazy because this company is totally defunct. Okay, well, see, now the website's having a few problems, but yeah, and then when you click on it, it goes to this. So finally, if you click through the website enough, it becomes clear what happened. So on March 26th, Electromechanica has been acquired by Zos, and Zos is an electric truck van company. And again, they're talking about their recalls. And if you go through here, this is Zos. And here's why they did it. They did an all stock acquisition. So every shareholder of Electromechanica got 0.01437939 shares of Zos stock. And if you look at Zos stock, it looks like most other EV stocks over the past couple of years. So back in 2021, it was sitting around 300. It spiked up to 400 at some point. Right here, it was like, okay, I don't know, it won't stop. Okay, at 395.40 on February 19th, 2021. Since then, you see this precipitous decline, and it's sitting around $5 a share now. If you look at the past year, you can see that around March 26th, that's around here is when they acquired Electromechanica Solo. And the reason they did that is, I guess Electromechanica Solo still had some capital, and this acquisition basically gave Zos about $50 million of working capital. And they are actually, if you look at them, their financials, they are increasing revenue. Their revenue was $13 million. I mean, they're losing money, but they are actually selling things, and they're hoping to make it to that point where they are revenue neutral and their cash flow meets their needs. And this is the point where Aptera claims that they will be able to get to after at about 6,000 vehicles a year. Zos has not reached that, and they're hoping that the cash infusion from their acquisition of Electromechanica is going to get them there. Okay, well, getting back to Electromechanica, what's happening to them now we know is they're just being scrapped. And I think that's a travesty. That is a failure of our legal system and I think our corporate system, that basically they're taking these vehicles, which honestly are defective, but evidently the financially and legally most prudent thing to do with these vehicles is to just crush them and send them to just crush them in a junkyard like this. So this is a guy named Startup Slick, and you can see these Electromechanica Solos here.
Cars were so poorly engineered. The company that
Okay, so you see the Electromechanica Solos right here. They're just being crushed, and this is what's happening to them. You see the one right here and one right here. These are otherwise, other than the fault that they have perfectly good vehicles. They have batteries, they have motors that work. The controller obviously has some kind of problem. Maybe the motor has a problem. I don't know, but there are definitely parts of this vehicle that still work, and there's a few out there. Like Aging Wheels bought two of them. He has them. I'm sure that there's probably like, I don't know, 10, 20, 50 vehicles still floating out there, people that didn't give them back. And what in my mind, what should have happened is they should have either sold these for very cheap and told them they're not roadworthy. You're not, we're not legally responsible if you get into an accident and these things, but they could be parts vehicles. And like this guy, these people that have these vehicles, they'll never be able to get parts, but there's like 400 vehicles with parts that are just going to be crushed. And that's an environmental travesty. It's just inefficient. And I can't believe that that is, in our current system, the most prudent thing to do. Like something is wrong with the way that these things are handled. That crushing them and putting them in a landfill is the best thing to do with them. That, and I'm sure that's because like they didn't want the legal risks or something, or somehow they can write it off on their taxes or something like that. There's some financial reason why this is what they're doing, but it may be financially good for the company, but it's terrible for the environment and it's terrible for the few people that have these vehicles. And if they want any kind of support, they're just not going to be able to get it because every part that they could have used to keep their vehicles going is now sitting in a landfill. That's terrible. And then these people, I've never heard of them before, but Grind Hard Plumbing, they're actually taking electromechanical solo and putting a Hayabusa motorcycle engine in them. I mean, at least they're using the chassis and stuff. I mean, there's many, many things that could have been done with these things. You know, maybe the motor could be repurposed for something. The battery packs are certainly good, and you could have used those battery packs for lots of other things. But they're crushing all that. There's nothing really wrong with the chassis. The suspension is like not great, but it's passable if you're not doing anything serious other than tooling around town. They're fine. So anyway, it just makes me sad that this is what's financially the best thing to do with these vehicles. I really wish that they would have either given them away or sold them for very cheap, absolved themselves of any liability. And if there's no way for them to do that, then I think that's a problem with our legal system. I mean, people should, if they're told, if they have informed consent that like, hey, this is a vehicle that could suddenly lose power, it is not safe to drive on the road. And but if you want to use it on a closed track, or you want to use it as a parts vehicle, or you want to like tool, or modify it somehow, or fix it up, or figure out what's wrong with it, you can have it for really cheap. $5,000, $2,000, $1,000. I don't know, $100, whatever, $0, free. It's got to be better than paying someone to crush them and put them in a landfill. Anyway, that's kind of my rant on this whole thing. And that's kind of the update on what's been going on with Electromechanica Solo. This is a really sad story. Hope that Aptera does not end up here. But if they were, I seriously hope that whatever Aptera are left over are not like forced to be crushed and put into a landfill. That would be just terrible. They should like give them away or sell them for very cheap and let people use them for parts to keep the Apteras that are out there running, and use them as parts vehicles. Basically, I think that would be a much better use for them than doing this. All right. Well, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.